Jan for Total Hip. I hope you have a soft roller at home. If not, you can always order one on Amazon. That one says HFFA, but Amazon has these. OTPT has these. You can always email us for more information as well. We're going to be taking this little soft roller here today, though, and we're going to be working on the lower body, hips, front and back side. So I'm going to have you lay on your back to start, and we're going to work with the hamstring area. I love to share the hamstrings. There's also a bonus feature in here, I call this the BOGO, that a lot of fascial release or myofascial blasting work, getting rid of cellulite, can also be benefit from doing this as well. So you can press both those legs down into that roller, and even if your hips lift up a little bit, that's okay. You're going to take your right leg and start to drag it out across the roller and drag it back. Now with the traditional roller at home, a hard roller, this doesn't feel that comfortable and it doesn't feel like it's doing anything, and that's just because of the density of the material. But with a soft roller, you'll be able to feel almost like a warmth and the skin almost pulling away from the bone kind of sense. Drag it across. So as we're gliding or shearing across this roller, we can really start to feel that warmth. And then bring that foot down to the floor. Move to the left leg. Drag and pull that left leg. Notice with my toe, I'm kind of rotating to the outside and then rotating to the inside, trying to hit all three of those hamstrings as I glide across. It's okay if the hips lift up a little bit to leverage the body weight. Pause there. Deep breath. And now let's move that roller up a little higher. So I'm going to move more to like right the dead center of my hamstring area. You can use any area on the back of your leg that you would like to do, as long as you stay off the kneecap area and the glute fold where the bottom hangs over there. Press your right leg onto that roller, drag it across. So we're trying to identify those areas that are tight, maybe causing issues with inflexibility, maybe causing some pain, and maybe even impeding our performance. Bring it back to the center, bring that foot down, and pause. Opposite side, drag that leg out, drag that leg in. And I'm not trying to push really hard, but I am keeping the resistance very even through the entire movement. Come back to the center, pause there, bring that foot down, take a deep breath. And do one more area of that hamstring. Right up to the top, again, staying out the glute fold, but right at the top of that hamstring. Again, I'm going to press down with both legs, relax my upper body, drag my leg out, drag my leg out. Now this can be used as a warm-up to get you ready for working out. It could also be used in a cool down. Either way, it's beneficial. Come back to the center, pause, and press down, and now the left side. The minimum amount of time to spend on any one area would be about 2 minutes. The maximum time is 10. You don't really ever need to spend more than 10 minutes on an area, but you can come back frequently, different times of day to work the same area. Come back to the center. Bring that foot down to the floor, pause, and wait. Excellent. So now that we've worked the back of the legs, we're going to start to move to the side. We're going to stay mostly below the hip for the sequence. I'm going to roll to my right side. And this is probably, of all the movements we do in here, the one that takes the most amount of work. So if you find yourself getting a little tired or carrying a lot of weight in your shoulders, feel like you can stop, take breaks, and jump back in. I'll give you a couple modifications as we go. I'm going to start with the roller really high up, closest to my hip. And I'm going to get directly on the side of my body. So I'm not rolled backwards or forwards. My elbow's directly below my shoulder. Chin is back, body's long. Now, if you've been doing this a while, you know exactly how much resistance you can handle. Double legs is the most resistance. If you come back into this position, you're like, this is no big deal, I like the 2 legs, you have that option. If it gets to be too much at any one time, you're going to bring that foot forward. Now notice my right foot is down on the floor, it's staying there, and I'm going to actually begin to glide by moving at my foot. So different than the trigger point hard rolling, where we lift both legs up when we move, we're actually going to keep that foot on the ground. That's going to help kind of bolt our resistance down onto there, using our body weight. So as I start to roll the top of the hip, again, I'm using the sense that I have of what's tight, what's not, what needs more attention. As I'm moving around, I'm looking for areas that are tight. When I find it, I'm going to get a little deeper. If I find I need more resistance because I need to get just a little bit more on top of that, I can put my other leg right on top. Deep breath, pause there. Now the shear is business, so just kind of brace yourself for this one. I'm going to take my top leg off, and I'm going to bend and extend at my leg. Now if you're in an area that doesn't have a lot of tension and tightness, you might not feel this as much, but if you're right on top of something, you're going to notice. After you do that a few times, bring that foot down to the floor and wait. There's a few different shears. We'll use that one to start. If at any point you find like you're on a speed bump or you're on an area where you find yourself sweating, nauseous, that means you have a really high pain tolerance, it's too much. Get right next to the area, because the idea is to move hydration to that area. I'm going to walk down the roller a little bit further, or you can simply lift yourself up and move the roller down. I'm going to come about halfway up the outside of that hip. So even though we call this outside of the hip, this is still quadricep. This is your outside quadricep. Is your ITTFL in there? You may end up hitting it depending on the position of your body. Easy rolling, gliding. Now I'm going to get my global glide a little smaller and localizing to one area. Pause there. If I need more tension, I can put it on there. Now I showed you earlier the bend and extend for the shear, but there's also something called log rolling, where you can just shift your weight forward and shift your weight back. Do this a few times. So if the head's getting heavy or the neck's getting heavy, I can still use my hand to support my head. And I'm also using my opposite hand. Pause there, take a deep breath. And let's do one more area, a little bit lower on that leg. So we chose to do 3 quadricep areas today on this outside of the hip, but you can do 5, you can do 2. It's really up to you. Smaller and smaller. And right here at the base where the quadricep moves into that knee area, it can be very tender. So again, if you need less weight, you need to rest on top of that roller or rest it in front of you. I love to get my anterior tib done at the same time. It's a great way to roll, glide, and shear 2 different areas. Pause right there. Breathe through it. Notice my hips haven't sunk. I've had to push down into that. My foot is still on the floor there. Hold there. I'm going to log roll side to side. I can either bend my knee and extend it or roll. And then I'm going to take this other foot here, my left leg, and I'm just going to move at the ankle joint. Because again, I'm hydrating the areas of my anterior tips. Pause there. And then I'm going to come all the way down. Now, it's a lot of work holding up your upper body on there, especially if you have some tender areas. So instead of going directly to the other side, we're going to actually do the inside of the hip on the other side. And then we'll flip over and do both those areas again. So I'm going to stay on that same side I was just laying on my right side. And I'm going to take this roll in front of me and line it up parallel with my body. I'm going to bend my top knee until I get to the top of the roller. Now my foot isn't touching very easily here, so I'm going to move my roller around until I get it at a good spot where my foot can touch. And then I'm going to pull the roller up a little bit. So now directly on the inside of this thigh, above the knee. Now take the top of the roller, this is important, barely push it away from you. That's so that when you start to roll at your body, the roller moves with you. If it's here, it gets a little wonky. So I want you to push that away, hand on the hip or on the floor, and I want you to start shifting your body weight forward and back. Now the muscle on the inside there is still quadricep, right? It's those medial ones now. And I'm just looking for areas of tightness, and it might start with just feeling a little tension, and then you might find it gets a little deeper. I'm going to pause there, and I'm going to shear, lifting and lowering. And this is just internal and external rotation of the hip. After I've done that a few times, I'm going to bring the foot down, take a deep breath, wait for the hydration effect to happen. Your breath's really important, so try not to hold your breath during any of this. I'm going to move the roller a little closer to me. I'm going to lift my leg, pull the roller closer, and now move up the thigh just a little bit. And I'm going to start to roll in this position. Again, being very gentle, looking for areas of tightness. Notice I'm not just moving my leg, that I'm actually shifting the weight of my whole torso forward and back. The head relaxed. Pause there. I can go through that internal, external rotation. I can also do what's called a shim, where you just shim across. Just gently rubbing on that tissue on that roller, and then pause. Excellent. You're going to come up nice and slow. So we're going to do both of those areas on the other side now. So I'm going to flip around and be laying on my left side now. I'm going to take my roller all the way up underneath me, so that the idea is the ease of getting into the movement. I'll be on my elbow, lift myself up, and I'm going to get the outside of my hip on here, just above the hip bone. So find your hip bones and go just below that. Again, I don't want my knees forward, I don't want the inflection, I want my legs straight. And from here, I'm going to make sure I'm on my rollers, my mats, and my feet are sticky. And I'm going to start to move again. So I'm going to show you this side with double legs for the most part. And then I'll remind you that you can always take your top leg forward if it gets to be too much. You can also do this thing called tap out. So take a break, bring it down, and then come back in when you're ready. If you're doing this at home, you have no one to perform for, right? Just do what feels good for your body. Pause there, and then I'm going to go into that double leg shear. Bring the feet down to the floor, take a deep breath, and allow the rehydration to take place. From there, I'm going to move this roller down a little lower. I can walk down my mat if I have a longer mat, or I can lift my body up and just move it about halfway down. Now, as you're moving, I want you to have a little bit of freedom here. Kind of move in and out, maybe roll slightly forward, slightly down, and just kind of look for areas of tightness. When you find those areas, get a little smaller in that movement. You might be shifted back a little bit. You might be shifted forward a little bit. It's all quadricep. Find those areas. Pause there. Again, I can wobble forward and back, or I can bend and extend at the legs. Bring the foot down to the floor. And I got one more area on that quadricep. It's just really close to the knee. So again, I'm going to lift my body up, roll my roller down just above the knee. If you get to this area and you're like, I cannot, it is too much. Remember, you never want to stay in an area that's that tender. So shift your weight either forward, back, or move it slightly above it. Think of the fascia as a sponge, and if you have a sponge maybe underneath one of your sinks that hasn't been used in a while, it's really dry and you try to use it, it doesn't really move water from place to place. The fascia is just like that. It's really the best analogy. When it's wet, it's a great mover of fluid. When it's dry, it's worthless. So you're trying to get right up next to areas that are dry, and then shear. This one got a little tense for me, so I'm going to cross my leg over. And then bring that foot down to the floor. And again, wade through that shear. Sometimes this is the most intense part, so wade through it. So you're trying to keep those sponges filled with water and moving fluid throughout the body. And then slowly bring the bottom down to the floor. So we got to get the inside of the leg on this side. Part of me doing that is so that your shoulders and elbows get a little bit of a break for those who are struggling to keep yourself up because you're not used to that position. It's really a long side plank, isn't it? All right, you're going to let your head rest on your hands. I'm going to pop my head up so you can hear me, but you can always keep your head rested. This is really the best way to do it. I'm going to come up here so you can see what's going on. I have this roller lined up with my body parallel. I'm going to bend my top leg so that the inside of my knee is on that roller and my foot can touch the ground. And then I'm going to push this guy away from me just enough so that when I shift my weight forward and back, the roller moves with me. Once I'm in that position, I'm going to gently roll forward and gently roll back, keeping my foot in contact with the floor. Again, it doesn't have to be hard, it doesn't have to be deep. I bet as you've moved, you found maybe a little area that's a little bit more tender, but it's manageable. So it's always got to be tolerable pain. Pause there. Internally, externally rotate. So notice the skin that's touching the roller is now moving against the roller, but the roller's not moving. Last two. Last one. And bring the foot down to the floor and hold right there. Take a deep breath. Let's do one more area on the inside of the thigh. Lift the leg up. And then bring that down. And then from there, I'm going to start to move. There's no perfect area. The beautiful thing about soft rolling is it's really taking you to local regions. You don't have to be right on top of a muscle. You don't have to line up and do cross friction on a muscle. So it's really up to you to find those areas that are tense and tight and need the attention and give them the attention they need. Pause there. Again, I'm going to internally and externally rotate. Now, if you want to do that and you're like, I can't do that, just shim across there or move at your ankle. And that's just an indirect shear. They both work beautifully. Pause right there. Take a deep breath. And come in nice and slow. So we've done the back side of the leg, the hamstring area. We've done really part of the quadricep, the outsides and insides. And we're going to go right to the dead center of this quadricep. And we're going to start with full body weight on both sides, so right and left. So we're going to distribute our weight on the roller with our right and left side. So it's a little easier to start, and then we're going to take our weight and move it into one area. So I'm going to start far enough back, just below my hips. Again, I have to use my upper body strength. So So it's just like a plank, elbows below your shoulders, shoulders relaxed. Try not to let that tension go into the neck and shoulders. And of course, you can always rest your head in your hand. And I say this for people who might have chronic neck issues, and being in this position too long really starts to bother them. So I'm just going to start with a gentle glide across the top of the thigh. And for those of you who've been on hard rollers, you're going to feel like this is easy. I can manage this. This is no big deal. Again, it should not feel like trigger point work, but a little bit different. I'm going to start to shift my body weight to the right side so that I have more weight on my right side. I'm actually going to use my hand on my left to help stabilize that. As I shift my weight into that right side, if I need more weight, I can always place that left leg right on top. So I'm moving around in here looking for areas of tightness. And I found an area, so I'm going to get really small in my glide now. And I can tell that although my tissue is tight, it's responding. It's allowing it to get a little deeper and deeper. It's not seizing up. That's the beauty of the soft roller. Pause there. Now I have an option. I can go into a shear by bending and extending this leg. Hold on tight. This can get a little tense. Or if you're like, no, I can't do that without changing position, again, you can roll side to side in a log roll position. Come back to the center. Take a deep breath. And let's go a little lower on that leg. So let's do one other place on that quadricep. I'm going to show you what I'm doing, but you can just walk right up. I'm going to lift myself up and I'll move that roller down more toward the top of the quadricep. Okay? Back to face down. If you have a long enough mount, you can just keep walking on out. So notice one of the things that happens when it gets tense is the foot pops up. So I have to be really aware of that. My foot popped up, it might have got too deep. Get my foot back down to put that tension back on that roller. I can stack the leg. And sometimes slower is better. Take your time. Sometimes circular is better. Take that moment, stay there. If it's too much to log roll, if it's too much to bend and extend, because I got a little deeper in that right at the top of my quadricep, I can just move at my ankle. Again, the tissue of the fascia doesn't start and stop at different joints. It goes through the whole body. So what's happening at my ankle is affecting what's going on at the top of my thigh. Hold there. And I'm going to roll that to the center. So it started off as pretty light, got a little deeper as I was able to find those areas. Continue to glide right there. I'm going to switch myself around so I can still talk to you. And you can have a better visual of what's going on in my quadricep. So now I'm switching over to my left leg. And for you at home, you're just going to shift your weight over to the left side. My feet are on the floor. I'm holding that plank. And just a nice, easy glide. So right away, and you may have found this at home, I found what I call a speed bump. When I went across it, boom, boom. And I don't want you on top of those things, but I do want you near them. So when you feel an adhesion like that, instead of trying to steamroll it out, get right next to it. Soft roll. Right next to it. Almost like if I went a little further, it'd be too much, I'm going to get right next to that. And then I'm going to shear. Again, I can do my shear a couple different ways. Try them all. See which one you feel like you respond to the most. Pause there. Always holding that shear when you're done. And then I'm going to either walk up a little further or bring it down a little lower. So for me, I'm going to bring it about halfway down the quadricep. Excellent. Maybe you needed to start with a larger sweeping motion to find something that was tight. And then zone in. Hone in on that area. Maybe you needed more weight. Pause there. What's that going to look like, that shear? I'm in a really good spot. I don't want to bend my knee. This is a good spot. And just shift my weight a little bit. And then pause back. Deep breath. Shrug those shoulders away. And then I'm going to come all the way down. Excellent. Well, thanks for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed doing total hip with the soft roller. And look forward to seeing you guys for some more of this.